I'm Theo.
And I'm Juliet.
And this is Apologies Accepted.
We offer an entertaining look at some of the big issues in history by examining public apologies of the famous and infamous.
We're looking at politicians, serial killers, actors, and you.
Send us a public apology you would like to make, and we'll read it on the air and give you a chance to redeem yourself or just get some guilt off your shoulders.
We're here for you. Once a week, maybe more if you're really, really sorry.
Hey, everybody. This is Apologies Accepted,
the podcast.
And I'm not Theo.
And I am not Juliet. And I'm mad about that.
Because I'm in Sedona this week.
Yeah.
And he's jealous.
Very.
That's about the only thing I've done is I was going to come up here today from where I am in southern Arizona, but I decided on Friday on a whim to just come on up on Friday. So I've been here a couple days now. I went yesterday and did some exploring in Sedona and around. Took a drive to Cottonwood and went to Tuzagut National Monument, where they have some old pueblos, and walked around there. Everywhere the dog was allowed, I went, basically. So today I'm probably going to do some hiking with the dog, because, of course, I've got my dog with me, and she's not allowed in restaurants mostly or anything like that. So no casual cocktails on the porch overlooking the Red Rocks or anything like that for us, unfortunately, on this trip. But
Sophie's not a drinker.
Sophie's not a drinker. She's sober. And as I was discussing with Theo before the podcast, we'll get her into daycare at some point so I can travel without the dog more frequently. But I do enjoy having her with me. She's a good companion, so I'm not complaining. It's just there's limited things you can do when you're on a trip with a dog.
Totally. And I will say, as a fan of daycare, as it is marvelous because you both get to have a wonderful day.
Exactly. Yeah, I used to take Josie to daycare when I went to work, and she absolutely loved it. She'd get excited to go in the morning, and then she would be excited to come home. So it's the best of both worlds.
Totally.
So, yeah, totally. So, all right, what are we going to talk about today, Theo? Oh, wait, what's shaking, Bacon?
Oh, yeah, okay, thank goodness.
I forgot what's shaking.
I have so many important things to discuss with you. For instance,
awesome.
I'm watching Gossip Girl. Which is so important.
It still exists?
No, it's some sort of a stupid reboot, and I'm not watching it.
Oh. Okay.
But it's on TV when we can't find anything else to watch.
I see.
Right? And that includes, the cooking channel, the golf channel. The golf channel's not on. I guess we're going to have to watch a Gossip Girl. So it's a reboot, and I never saw the original show. I've heard of it. Right? This is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Really?
Yes.
Dumber than Real Housewives?
It is dumber than Real Housewives.
Dumber than the Paris Hilton thing?
Okay, stop. You're really challenging what I... No, okay, it's pretty fucking dumb, right? And what's dumb about it? There's so much drama, right? There's so much drama. But the whole thing around Gossip Girl is it's like a blog. Or it's sort of Instagram, right? Mm-hmm. So Gossip Girl is a columnist who is posting things on Instagram and has 30 million followers. And really, it's 3 teachers who work at this private high school. And the 3 teachers are obsessed with the lives of their students.
Oh.
So the teachers spy on the students.
Boy, is that creepy.
Right? And it's like, Sylvia kissed Mark, and I have a fun. It's one of the teachers doing it. And then, and mind you, this is high school, right? So one of the teachers is dating a student.
Ooh.
High school.
Ooh.
High school.
Ooh.
Yep. And so even ooier. Even ooier. More ooh. It's a gay student and a gay teacher, because you couldn't have a gay student dating a straight teacher. And the gay student, there's another gay student, right, who has a crush on the teacher. I'm kind of not really following the storyline, and it's been a good handful of weeks since I saw it. But one of the teens has gotten a little stalkery with the teacher, and the teacher is now blackmailing that student. I mean, it just goes places. It's so stupid.
Holy shit.
But if the Golf Channel is not on, I highly recommend Gossip Girl. And I can't believe I just shared that with you. And then, I went to my friend Kate's house last night. We had dinner. She made a marvelous dinner, and she's not a listener, so I can say this. I had a really lovely time, and left about 9:30, and she was like, you can hang out longer. And I'm like, no, it's 9:30 on a Saturday. It's my bedtime. And then not last night, but this week, I had a dream about the podcast, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I was at some sort of a hotel, right? And this teen girl, so not a little girl, but not an adult. I guess that would be teen. Why am I over-explaining this? With really like curly blonde hair, came up to me, and I was reading a book or whatever, right? And I was sitting in this lobby, and she came up to me and she said, "Are you Theo?" And I was like, oh, she recognized me. And then I was like, yes, I am. And you're the first person I've ever met in the wild who has recognized me from the show. How are you? And she was like, I'm fine. I've listened to your show a couple of times. And I was like, oh, that's great. She was like, meh. I got mad in my dream about my own dumb show. How dare she? So, anyway, that is what's Shake and Bacon, a bunch of nothing, which is wonderful. And other than not going places because of your dog.
Yeah.
What else? What else is going on? How's the house?
What else is shaking with me? Work is a nightmare. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I'm lucky to have a job, grateful, all that kind of thing. But speaking of work, we've got a team building exercise coming up this week, and I had to read a book for it. So I know, right?
You had to read a book, or you decided you needed to read a book?
No, we were assigned a book for the team building
Fuck
exercise.
off.
Right? Fortunately, it only took me like one evening to read, but I was like, what the fuck? This is going to be some bullshit. And it kind of was. I mean, all that stuff is bullshit, but it was at least an entertaining book. It was written in a sort of anecdotal style, and it was not really well written, but it at least kept my attention. So that was good. Thank God for that. So thanks to my CIO for not assigning a piece of crap, boring book to read. But so now we've got to go do the exercise, and it's going to be like involving. It's going to be virtual, so there won't be like trust falls or any of that crap. But I know we're going to have to talk about like our histories and like talk about like what our childhood was like and stuff like that. And
At work?
Like, dude, you don't even want to go there.
No, you're gonna just lie. That's it. Just lie.
That's what my friend Michelle said. Just
Make
make up
up
things.
Totally.
So, but one of the focuses of the book is that you have to trust each other.
Well, they can trust the fuck off.
Anyway, that's all that's going on with me.
I've got it. So I have to just tell you right now. When I was at dinner last night with Kate, her friend Peter was there, and Peter was telling me that he also had to coordinate an exercise, a team building, community building exercise, right? Yeah. And it was his to do, and he had to come up with it, and he spent a total of 5 minutes Googling, and he found an exercise where you draw a pig.
Uh-huh.
And then there's personality traits depending on how you draw your pig, right?
Oh,
so if the pig is looking to the left, the pig is looking to the right. If the pig has 2 eyes, 2 feet, 4 feet, curly tail, whatever,
that's
right?
That's bullshit.
It all, So is what you're doing.
I know.
I just love that your company had a book and Peter's company was like, you do it.
He Googled a pig.
He just Googled.
So I'll let you know next week how it went.
Well, we're going to do this pig exercise one day, you and I. We're both going to draw a pig. But see, I've ruined it because now you know that there's like
but I don't know what the traits are.
Personality. So. Right.
Yeah.
But it already will be. You'll already be overthinking it as you draw.
I'm going to Google it now and see what the best way to draw the pig is.
I've done that on those personality things where I work for a company, and there was one personality trait that was like, they called it the Jesus trait.
Oh, my God.
And I can't remember the name of the test or whatever, because it's all stupid bullshit, right? And so I was like, well, my real answer is this, but I know the better answer would be this one. So I faked my way through the personality trait. Because I wanted to be like Jesus.
Why not?
Yeah. Speaking of like Jesus, looking for the segue. Today, we're talking about somebody who did turn the other cheek, Chris Rock.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
And somebody who is not like Jesus because the devil got a hold of him, according to Denzel Washington.
That's right.
And here we are, Will Smith in the slap.
Yeah. So if you haven't heard, if you've been living under the proverbial rock or just hibernating for the winter.
Or you're above this sort of stuff.
Which if it weren't for this podcast, I probably would be.
I knew. I was like, this is going to be so painful for her. But all right, here we are.
Yeah, here we are. So Will Smith, if you don't know who Will Smith is, he's also known as the Fresh Prince. And he became famous first as part of DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. And they're a hip-hop duo, and they had a bunch of hits in the 80s and early 90s. I don't remember any of the songs, but I know that if you played one, I'd probably know it. So
I forgot he started off.
He did.
That way. Yeah.
He totally did. He then had some popular solo albums and then starred in the sitcom The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which was very popular. Like I said, a popular sitcom, very popular. So that was a few years of his life, and then he went on to star in movies like Bad Boys in 1995 and Men in Black in 1997, and a number of sequels of Bad Boys and Men in Black. And then he was in, most recently, King Richard, for which he won an Academy Award for Best Actor this year. And that's for his portrayal of Richard Williams, the father of Venus and Serena Williams. So that made Will Smith the first rapper to win an acting Oscar. But during the 94th Academy Awards on March 27th of this year, Smith walked on stage and slapped presenter and comedian Chris Rock after Rock made a joke about his wife Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head with a reference to the film G.I. Jane. Smith then went back to his seat and yelled at Rock twice, saying, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth." The reason this was controversial is because Jada Pinkett Smith had been diagnosed with alopecia in 2018 and later shaved her head due to the condition. So it seemed to me, watching the replays, I should have watched like a full replay, but I've seen pieces. And it seemed to me like when Chris Rock first made the joke, Will Smith laughed.
That is what happened, at least on camera. So
Yeah.
It is what happened.
Yeah, it happened on camera and off camera.
Yeah.
He laughed. And then I don't know if he looked at his wife and she was mad because she kind of had an expression on her face the whole time that like she wasn't happy about it. And maybe Will Smith noticed that and then got up and walked up the stage. Apparently anybody can walk on stage at the Oscars. Like I didn't see the whole thing, but I mean, apparently you don't have to climb up any stairs or anything. It's just right there. You just get on the stage, walk up to whoever's there. It's really close to you. It's really convenient and accessible, and you can smack the hell out of anybody you want. And that's what he did.
Yep, exactly. And because he was up for Best Actor, when you're in the running for a prize, you're in the front row, and so it's real easy. In theory, it's real easy to get on stage.
So you can get on stage to accept your award or whatever?
Right. Because, Kanye did that with Taylor Swift, where he got on stage.
Yeah.
Right? And so nobody learned from that, and
apparently
continue to. Well, yeah, but what? That was like also 20 years ago? I don't know when that happened. We did an episode on it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Don't they have anyone like doing contingency planning or anything. Anyway, we'll get into that in a minute. But later that night, Smith was named Best Actor, as I mentioned, for King Richard. And in his acceptance speech, he did apologize to the Academy of Motion Pictures and the other nominees, but he did not apologize to Chris Rock. His acceptance speech, in which he appealed to God, calling on him to do crazy things in the name of love, was described by The Economist as dangerous, self-serving cant, which The Economist also noted that he received a partial standing ovation from the audience. Mm-hmm. Which is weird. Well, I think.
I saw it when it happened, right? And I thought when it happened, oh, this is a bit. That looks like...
Is that what you thought, really?
Yep. Well, I mean, where and what planet would Will Smith get up and slap Chris Rock across the face?
Well, he has a reputation for being like a really kind of amiable...
Yeah. Friendly
character,
guy.
Right?
Yeah. He's known as the likable guy, and I haven't read his biography, but I did see a little thing where this personality trait of his, where he needs to be likable.
Yes,
he and his therapist.
He developed a persona when he was a kid, in part because of the abuse of his mother by his father, and he called that character Uncle Fluffy.
Right, and so when you have. I had no idea about Uncle Fluffy, but I certainly knew that Will Smith was the nicest guy on the planet. So, I mean,
right.
Whatever. But I've derailed you.
No,
so much
go ahead.
Here.
I mean, that's fine. This can be a free-form podcast if we want.
You mean it hasn't been up until now?
It's been very rigid. So Smith did publicly apologize to Chris Rock via Instagram anyway the next day. And he said, I'll tell you what he said, violence in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable. Jokes at my expense are a part of the job, but a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for me to bear, and I reacted emotionally. I would like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I am embarrassed, and my actions were not indicative of the man I want to be. There is no place for violence in a world of love and kindness. I would also like to apologize to the Academy, the producers of the show, all the attendees, and everyone watching around the world. I would like to apologize to the Williams family and my King Richard family. I deeply regret that my behavior has stained what has been an otherwise gorgeous journey for all of us. I am a work in progress. Sincerely, Will.
So many quick thoughts about that. First of all, the thing I really like about it is the statement, not indicative of the man I want to be. Most people in this situation will say things like, this wasn't me. Right. But he's like, nah, this isn't who I aspire to be. And so that was like, okay, wow. Good for you. But then there's just the bullshit move of I'm a work in progress. It's the biggest cop out ever.
It's the worst. It's like, don't mind me. God isn't finished with me yet.
God, I hate that. Yes, God is finished with you.
God is done. Yeah, I hate that too, that I'm a work in progress. It's like, don't pay attention to what I've done. I'm imperfect. Don't blame me.
Right. It's not my fault. I'm a work in progress. Not an excuse.
It's not an excuse.
Yeah. No.
I miss the thing of the man I want to be. That I think you're right. That's good.
Yeah, when I read that, I was like, oh wow, that's really self-aware, and this is going to be a good apology. I mean, we'll get into that, but yeah, it just ends on that bullshit note, and it's like, okay, this just negates everything for me. It's a piece of shit.
Yeah, which is interesting because he's obviously been in therapy, because that's where he and his therapist talked about Uncle Fluffy, I guess, and he also talked about his other personality, or his other persona, which he called the General, who's the guy that comes out when he gets mad. But I guess his therapist didn't vet his first apology.
Oh, I guess his therapist isn't working with him on his compartmentalization. I think that's probably the bigger problem here.
Right. Try to integrate these parts of yourself.
I mean, I'm a mess, but none of them have names. It'd be a whole fucking party with me. Oh, I'm sorry. Isabella's the one that said that, not me. Sorry, we all
So
have
there
our
was-
coping mechanisms. That's mine.
Right. There was another statement on April 1st, which was 3 days ago. And he said, I have directly responded to the Academy's disciplinary hearing notice, and I will fully accept any and all consequences for my conduct. My actions at the 94th Academy Awards presentation were shocking, painful, and inexcusable. The list of those I have hurt is long and includes Chris, his family, many of my dear friends and loved ones, all those in attendance, and global audiences at home. I betrayed the trust of the Academy. I deprived other nominees and winners of their opportunity to celebrate and be celebrated for their extraordinary work. I am heartbroken. I want to put the focus back on those who deserve attention for their achievements and allow the Academy to get back to the incredible work it does to support creativity and artistry in film. So I am resigning from membership in the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences and will accept any further consequences the board deems appropriate. Change takes time, and I am committed to doing the work to ensure that I never again allow violence to overtake reason. I think that's a better statement than the first one.
It's a much better statement. And I mean, I never really thought about this until this morning, but Venus and Serena just cannot catch a break.
Yep. Nope.
You know, I mean, this all started.
Yep.
All of this started.
All of it.
Because we did Jane Campion, right? So
Yes.
the Oscars situation is our fault. Jane Campion said something about Venus and Serena not competing against men and diminished them. Yeah. And then here they are, like
ready
executive producers. Yeah. And nobody's talking about them or their father or their picture or anything. It is all about Will Smith smacking somebody.
Yeah.
So yeah, he did ruin it for them. And then the documentary that Chris Rock was giving an award to, and I've forgotten the name of it, but it was produced by Questlove, right?
Summer of Soul or something.
Yes.
It was good.
I haven't seen it. I didn't know about it beyond it won an Academy Award. But the fucked up thing here is that Questlove won and Chris Rock said, and, you know, winner is blah, blah, Questlove and 4 white guys, which it's funny and cool and get it, right? One of the guys isn't white. He's South Asian. And he was upset because he's the first South Asian to win an Oscar and was like,
Chris Rock could not win.
I am, you know, I've been diminished. And it's like, yeah, I know. It sucks. You got an Oscar and I don't have one.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can refuse it.
That's true. You can.
Yeah. Well, solved. We've killed the Oscars. Everybody should turn their prizes in and just stop awarding yourselves prizes. But I was like, wow, Venus and Serena, you guys, is this like the cursed movie or what's up?
I know, it's really unfortunate
for
them.
And so
they didn't do anything to deserve it.
Well, so here's right. How funny if they had. You know, somebody on the planet is like, good, I'm glad it's happening to them. But so many bad things happen out of all of this. And one of those things that struck me is that Will Smith was portraying a man who in the 90s was seen as abusive and angry.
Yeah.
He did not do anything to I mean, that movie was supposed to change that narrative.
Yeah.
And slapping somebody in the face doesn't change that narrative in the end. Especially when you say, I was inspired by the spirit. He doesn't say this verbatim. I have what he said, but he was basically like, I felt the spirit of Richard Williams move my hand.
Oh, my God. And not only that, but like sort of similarly, like he's supposed to be recovering or whatever, dealing with the effects of the abuse that his father perpetrated on his mother. And instead of, you know, taking those learnings and becoming a kind person, he is instead slapping the shit out of people on the Academy Awards stage. It's just like, no.
I mean, right. I get
Find a new therapist, Will. I don't think this is working for you.
Yep. And then, you know, the other thing is it doesn't help the movement, and by movement, I mean the progressive movement, right? This feeds the narrative that men are violent and that black men are violent, right? And so I don't know who said it, but I thought it was a stunning analysis where I wish I knew who said it. He said, Chris Rock had the weight of the black race on his shoulders when he stood there and did not respond to the slap.
Right.
Because then it would have become, oh, those people.
Right.
Oh, all they do is fight. Right.
Right.
And,
I mean, it kind of is that way with what Will Smith did, but if Chris Rock had retaliated, it would have been even worse.
No, totally. And, and of course and I get to like, oh, defending your wife's honor and all that bullshit, right? And sure, was Chris Rock's joke in bad taste? Yeah, it was. But, the question is, was Chris Rock aware of the alopecia condition, right?
He was. And I talk about that a little bit, or I will talk about that.
Okay, good, because I've heard two different things, but I didn't dive into either of them. I was just like, oh, well, it means one thing if he did, and it means another thing if he didn't, but all right, cool. Yeah. So, now I'm like, oh, let's get to that
later. So.
Okay.
But now, the Academy announced last Wednesday that it had initiated disciplinary proceedings against Will Smith. Apparently, they had strongly considered taking him out of the Oscars after he slapped Chris Rock.
They're so brave.
I know, right? A source close to the situation said there were immediate discussions, but the Academy decision makers were seated in various spots in the Dolby Theater and couldn't mobilize to make a decision before he won Best Actor. And what that says is they did not plan for this shit in advance. Now, they had better fucking plan for it now. They should have planned for it after, what's his name, and Taylor Smith, after he got up on stage when he shouldn't have been on stage. Like, what do we do when somebody goes on stage who shouldn't be there? You should remove them. I mean, it's as simple as that. And there's no excuse for them not having planned for that in advance.
Right. Or even if you didn't plan for that in advance, you should, well, yeah, it's what you're saying. You should have policies and plans in place. Right. For what do we do if somebody gets really drunk? What do we do if somebody, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, you can't just leave these things to chance. And surely they have some policies of that sort. And they were just surprised maybe that it was someone as famous as Will Smith that was causing the problem. And they weren't sure, like, do we want to antagonize Will Smith? Can we afford to risk that? And they weren't, there wasn't someone there bold enough to say, yes, go get him off.
Well, and
off
it's like,
stage
what's Will Smith going to do? Never act again? And Hollywood's going to shut down? No.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
I don't know. I don't understand how Hollywood works.
Oh, I'll tell you. We'll get there.
But Chris Rock did not press charges against Will Smith, which was very generous of him, in my opinion. The Los Angeles Police Department said they would not open an investigation unless Chris Rock changed his mind and decided to file a police report. So I don't understand that. Is this not a crime no matter who files a police report or doesn't file a police report? I think in most cases like this, something like this, if somebody goes up to someone in front of a police officer and smacks the shit out of them, I think they can be arrested whether that person who got smacked files a police report or not, because it's a crime. You don't have to get agreement from the victim that it was a crime. I mean,
I would say I agree with you 100%. So apparently that's not the way the world organized, or the way way it works, or whatever.
If you're famous, it certainly doesn't work that way.
Well, actually, okay. So I know there's been a change in this law, but it used to be that if there was a domestic dispute and the cops showed up, they would ask we'll use the word victim. They would ask the victim, do you want to press charges? And if the victim said no, the cop would go away. But now if you're called, you have to arrest somebody, right?
I guess.
Well, you don't have to arrest somebody. Like, hey, your grandma looks like she'll make a perfect, I need an arrest. The victim does not have to, the victim doesn't. Yeah, thanks. That's it. And so, and it's not that I don't know about this, but I don't know about this, right? I'm not in social work and don't have to deal with cops around violence. So sort of like, I don't know how it works, but I think he would work that way, but it doesn't.
Didn't. So, yeah. So he didn't get arrested, and Rock said during a stand-up performance in Boston on March 31st that Will Smith had not reached out to him personally and that they hadn't spoken since the ceremony. So there was the Instagram apology, but not an in-person apology, which is a little surprising to me and not very nice.
Well, especially since who was it who said, I can see his face. Was it Diddy? Somebody said, it's all been worked out. We worked it out backstage. It's all love, right?
Yeah.
And I wish I could remember. It wasn't well, for sure it wasn't Kanye. But it was somebody, and they were a musician, right?
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, like, what were you doing at the Oscars?
It probably was Sean Combs because he was there and he had something to do with it.
Okay,
after
right.
the fact.
That's
so.
And it's all love sounds very much like something he would say.
Yeah.
So, and
I guess
apparently it's not all love.
It's not all love. There's a little bit of not love.
It's
involved.
a slap full of love, Juliet.
So Will Smith has some upcoming movies, including Emancipation, which is a $100 million high-prestige drama for Apple, which is interesting, an action thriller on Netflix, a remake of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, where he would star opposite Kevin Hart for Paramount.
Oh,
and
that'd
the
be
second
fun.
installment, it might be. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, it might be fun. I don't know who Kevin Hart is, but...
comedian, and anyway, I can see it as fun. But, here's the thing. Can I ever see Will Smith again as the completely likable, totally nice guy? I don't think so.
I think that's the problem. Like his brand is tarnished.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which is sad because it was kind of a nice brand, even though it wasn't true. He said himself in his book, I am a black man in Hollywood. In order to sustain my position, I can't get caught slipping, not even once. I had to be perfect at all times. And now he has, in fact, slipped.
Yep. And it wasn't even that he slipped this isn't a slip. This is like... It's
not a slip. It's deliberate.
Yeah. It's not like, oh, I had a girlfriend on the side, which also would be deliberate, but... this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of talk about Jada Pinkett Smith, speaking of girlfriends on the side, having male partners that are not her husband. I ran into a lot of gossip about that, and I don't know if it's true or not, although she did say she had an affair when they were separated.
Well, you don't have an affair when you're separated because you're separated. So it's not an affair. You're dating, right?
Sure.
In my book. That is right. And I have heard the same thing. I so don't care.
Yeah, I know. I don't care either. I don't care what she does. It's none of my business.
It's rich people doing rich people things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe poor people do this too.
Probably.
I'm sure. They do. Everybody does. Everyone has affairs. Yeah, I whatever for that, right? It's like if I can't wait to find out about the Chris Rock and the alopecia thing.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, in the end, it doesn't matter if he knew or if he didn't know. It was I'm looking for this word. I was going to say off-color joke. We'll go with that, but that's not the word I want. It was a bad taste. It was just all bad taste, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't deserve to get slapped.
No, absolutely not. I don't think so. Violence is not the answer.
Right. Well,
so, yeah.
And then speaking of slap, I have a friend, and let's call her not Sarah Jessica Parker.
Okay.
Because it's not Sarah Jessica Parker.
Okay.
I promise it's not her. So, not Sarah Jessica Parker said she was talking to a couple of her gay black friends, and they said, oh, well, this just proves that Will Smith is gay, because who slaps somebody? You punch them, right?
And that's funny, but also homophobic.
Well, right.
And Yeah.
Yeah. And sexist too.
And sexist.
And I was like, oh, you know what? I do think that I had like a little thing of, oh, this is staged. It's a staged slap, right? And if this was real, he wouldn't have slapped him. He would have punched him, right? I had that sort of thing in my brain. It just hadn't really formed. But the minute I heard it, I was like,
went through my mind to wonder why he hadn't punched him. And maybe he didn't, I don't know.
Maybe a slap is the least violent thing you can do in the field of violence. I mean, like, I don't know. Right? So it's a slap of love.
Yeah, let's talk about your thinking this might be staged.
Well, I don't think it was staged, but I did in the moment because it was just such a unexpected, makes zero sense. So it's got to be staged, right? Yeah. Oh, Hollywood, you're so stupid, right? And so here's the thing. The Oscars have been decreasing in popularity over time. And the audience is, we'll say non-existent as of last year. They had like 9 million viewers. Wow. They had 15 million viewers the year before. But, they're more of like a 35 million viewership.
I see.
So like a not important football game gets on average 17 million viewers, right?
Oh, wow.
So there are more people just watching some unimportant
football game.
Yeah, exactly. Monday night, whatever's on, Tuesday night, whatever, who cares, right? Then the Oscars. And so the Oscars really needed to step things up. And I won't say that's why Billie Eilish won, but it doesn't hurt that Billie Eilish won because she's popular and she's going to bring in the young, right?
Yeah.
And then, again, we'll get down to Jane Campion winning Best Director and deserved it. Sure, absolutely. But there was the talk that she was only getting it because she was the only woman nominated, right? And same with Will Smith, that he was getting Best Actor because, well, he was the only person of color in that. And the Oscars are starting to pay attention to they're paying attention to what people say. So we will remember Oscar So White in 2016 and the boycott of the Oscars. And if not, then in 2015, no people of color were nominated for any performances at all, right?
Wow.
And the same thing happened again in 2016.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when they released all of the so-and-so's up for Best Picture, so-and-so's up for this, so-and-so's up for that, there was a boycott movement, Oscar So White. And Jada Pinkett Smith was a vocal proponent of that boycott. And absolutely, please, are you kidding? So fully on board with that. And I will say Chris Rock said, he said, Jada Pinkett Smith boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited. And, it's funny because she's a TV actress, right? So, I mean, she's done film, of course, but whatever. So cool. And so when the slap happened, I was tracking with this is a way to get buzz going and, it'll turn out to be some SNL thing or it'll be not SNL, but it'll be a skit, right? It's going to be funny. And then it wasn't, but I'll say the ceremony went on and whatever. And it was like, well, okay, something's got to be up with that. I did not hear Will Smith shouting, "Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth."
Oh, really?
Had I heard that, well, I had friends over. It was my birthday weekend. Okay. It was post day after my birthday. So I was mourning the passing of my birthday.
Of course,
so I was
as you do.
Crying and talking to people. Yeah. And so it wasn't full on watching the Oscars because, again, I just assumed it was some sort of a skit. And I'll say 5 minutes later, one of my friends had Googled something and they were like, this doesn't seem like it was a skit, right?
Wow.
And so yeah. So yes, in that moment, did I think? Yes, I did. And why did I think it? Because one, it looked so fake, it looked staged. And then two,
It's so unlikely.
They need surprises in the Oscars. This show was a bit fresher than last year's. Was just a funeral party. It was off. I mean, no wonder nobody watched it. It was outdoors, socially distanced tables, right? Like people running around with Lysol spraying the air so that nobody would get COVID. It just,
how far we've come.
It wasn't the escape people wanted. It was a reminder that, like, you're going to die of COVID.
Wow.
So, yeah.
All right. So it wasn't fake. We're all agreeing on that.
Yes.
I think.
It's real.
So let's talk about not the apology so much as my opinion about the apology, or our opinion about the apology. So a lot of black women on social media have been saying that white people should keep their opinions to themselves about this incident because there are subtleties to the situation that white people don't understand.
Why?
And I think that's true.
I don't.
Well, I'll tell you. So some of these subtleties were explained by a woman with alopecia who appeared in Chris Rock's documentary, Good Hair. Okay. This documentary by Chris Rock focused on the issue of how black American women have perceived their hair and historically styled it. The film explores the current styling industry for black women, images of what's considered acceptable and desirable for black Americans' hair in the United States, and their relation to black American culture. So Sheila Bridges, who was in the documentary, told TMZ that she was disappointed that the comedian decided to joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's condition at the Oscars. She said she was a little bit surprised that Rock made the jest after talking to her at great length about the challenges of the condition. Bridges, who had spoken with Rock about living with alopecia, condemned both stars' actions, saying both the joke and altercation helped reinforce stereotypes about black people. And she went on to say, the first stereotype is about black women, that black women can be or should be disrespected in public, and that we are so strong that nothing bothers us, nothing hurts us, that we have this impenetrable armor and we're never to be protected, she said. When Chris Rock made the joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's hair or bald head, to me, he was publicly disrespecting yet another black woman. And then Will Smith reacts by playing back into the stereotype about black men, being violent, not being able to sort of control themselves. So I just feel like it was bad behavior all the way around.
I agree. Absolutely.
And that's exactly how I feel. So I'm not sure what Will Smith should have or could have done to protect his wife against the joke like the one Chris Rock made, if he should have at all, because I think it seems to me these types of jokes are common at the Oscars. Or is that just at roasts? I mean, is it?
So you have the thing of comedians play rough, right?
Yeah.
And making jokes about, and I've been running on the assumption that Chris Rock was not aware that Jada Pinkett Smith had alopecia because I didn't know, right?
Okay.
And I know she's been vocal about, she's not on my radar. She's not in my world. I don't hear from her.
Yeah.
That it's just not a thing, right? She's not on a Real Housewives show. So,
right. But
yeah.
You're not a friend of Will Smith either. And apparently Chris Rock and Will Smith were friendly, if not friends.
Well, right. And also I'm not a friend of Will Smith, well, especially now because he hits people, but, yeah. But I'm intrigued by this. White people should keep their opinions to themselves about the physical violence. And it's like, no, I know what social decorum is. I know when it's broken. I know when bonds of trust are broken. I know I know what public behavior is. I know what it is like to I don't know what it's like to set fire to a career. But no, I disagree with that. I don't have opinions about what it means because it happened between two black people. I may have opinions about that, but I don't really, right? My opinion's about the violence or my thoughts around the violence.
Right.
And so yeah, right. I'm hoping to tease out some nuance there so that I can understand it, so that I can end up agreeing with this person.
Well, there are some women who say that black women should be defended by their black men. I mean, that whole thing is just, to me, that's, what's the word?
Feels anti-feminist to me.
It's anti-feminist, and God, what is it when you're only focused on straight people?
Oh, heteronormative.
It's heteronormative.
See how I can just cough that word right out? I had no problem at all.
I know that if I were in Jada's situation, the most I would ever want my husband to do would be to show me some kind of support by standing next to me or holding my hand or something like that. But if he did what Will Smith did, I'd be embarrassed and horrified.
I'd be so angry. I would not be. thrilled at all, or there'd be no good that came out of it.
No.
Like, you took a bad situation and made it
worse.
So many other things.
Yeah.
Right. It was
Absolutely.
about, this moment was about me, and you've made it about you. How dare you?
I mean, yeah. But yeah, I don't know what else Will Smith could have done other than to, like, in some way show support for his husband, but he did not have to respond violently. Well, I think that is the truth, no matter what your perspective.
Agreed. Absolutely. So there, right? And what he could have done is he could have strode up onto the stage. Let's say he's so, angry, whatever, right? And picked up the microphone and said something like, my wife is beautiful and I love her and I think you're a dick, right?
Yeah, that would work too.
Yeah. Done. America's hero solves the problem again.
And this has been Apologies Accepted.
On the podcast.
But I'm not sure I do have too much more to say about this. I mean, this is such a tempest in a teapot, really. I mean, although there are a lot of interesting... What?
Oh, no, keep going, because yes, tempest in a teapot.
There are a lot of interesting elements to this that, like the black women being strong and not being defended, that I wouldn't have thought about if I hadn't read some stuff on the internet, on TMZ, of all places. But really, it's just these people behaving badly, rich people behaving badly.
Yep.
And I'm not there for that.
No, and the Academy is weak and ineffectual, and and the Oscars are, as Jane Campion has shown us, an opportunity for people to rip other people to shreds. And so, I do also agree, right? But it is interesting to me that this tempest in a teapot has created so much attention. And I get it, because it is shocking. It was a surprise. It does touch on so many things, right? But I draw a parallel to what's happening in Ukraine with this, right? And
Okay.
And this is what happened last night when I said this at dinner. Everybody looked at me like, are you smoking pot? And it's like, no. But it's very hard to process when a country like Russia just slaps another country like Ukraine.
Right.
I don't mean to make this, I'm not making light of that situation, right? And it does begin to reawaken those fears of nuclear annihilation and the end of mankind, right? Mm-hmm. Because that could fucking happen. Mm-hmm. And how do you process that? Well, we don't know. We don't know how to process that, right? But a man slapping another man, right, publicly in a shocking way is something that we can process. We can understand that. So I think that all of the attention that's been paid to Will Smith is sort of a reaction to our nation's unease with how do we respond to Russia? Can't do that, but let's respond to Will Smith.
Interesting.
And if we can figure the Will Smith thing out, then we're one step closer. Oh, we've got a blueprint. We know what to do when somebody does something that's inappropriate and harms other people. And now we just have to evict Vladimir Putin from the Academy.
Yeah. There you go. I heard that Kiev was back in Ukrainian hands.
I've heard the same thing, and then I've also heard, this is much more our show, so we'll do a political apology next. Oh, we're doing the Pope, right?
Yeah, we're doing the Pope.
Oh, we're planning on air. And we're not doing the Pope sexually, everybody. We're doing his apology.
Oh
my God. God would be a part of it. All right, so gross. Let's get back to Chris Rock. Do you think that Will Smith hit Chris Rock because Chris Rock is smaller in stature?
Because he's smaller in stature?
Yeah.
No, but do I think it made it easier for him? Yeah.
Do you think he would have hit Dave Chappelle?
I don't know how big Dave Chappelle is, but
well,
I mean...
I think Dave Chappelle would have ripped
I have
Will
no
Smith's
idea
head
how
off.
brave Will Smith is. I can't even speculate. I have no idea. Why? Do you think it's only because Chris Rock was shorter?
I don't think it's only, but it did occur to me that, like, I don't see him doing it to Dave Chappelle.
Huh.
Right? What does that mean? I guess it means I'm afraid of Dave Chappelle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Look over there. That was a point that went nowhere, but it was fun.
Yeah, that's all right. So let's give the apology a rating, and let's make it for the statement, the April 1st statement that he came out with. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit already. I think that the good things about this apology are that he said he will fully accept any and all consequences for his conduct. He resigned from membership in the Academy, and he said that change takes time, and I'm committed to doing the work to ensure that I never again allow violence to overtake reason. So, and he acknowledged who he had betrayed. He said, he's Chris, his family, my friends, everyone in attendance, and global audiences at home, basically the entire world. He betrayed the trust of the Academy. So he did take responsibility for what he did. I think he hit most of the key parts of an apology. Okay, just the apology itself, I give it a 7. Yeah, but because I don't like the whole situation and I'm not happy with it, I would give it much lower. But I think just purely focusing on the content of the apology, I give it a 7.
Okay, that's crazy because also Me Too, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't like what he did. I don't think you can really apologize for that in words as much as... You got to act.
Yeah,
right.
You got to prove over time, which is not going to happen.
All is a little self-serving, but he did say, and so what puts it above a 5, right? Is the statement of it's not indicative of the man I want to be.
That was the earlier apology.
Oh, okay. Yes, you're right. So I'll say that statement sort of, for me, signals that there is some sincerity here, right? That this isn't self-serving. And so a 6.
Okay. All right. Usually you're higher than me, but
yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, there was a moment where I was like, oh, it's probably really an 8. And then it's like, oh, God, no, I can't give it that high. I did smack somebody across the face. And I think it's that thing of I'm having a harder time separating the act from the apology, whereas you've done a better job of that. So 6.82.
Fair enough. All right, we'll just call it a 7.
It's a 7.
Do you have an apology accepted or apology expected or a who's sorry now?
A what or a who?
I don't either.
What are you talking about? Well, you did last week, I think, too.
I forgot.
I've forgotten, too, but let's see. Do I have a Hollywood apology? I've never hit anybody, so I would go. No. I'm hitting the Ukraine and the Russian soldiers. So we'll say that at a future point, apology expected from Russia for war crimes. And it'll be the Russian military, and they're going to say, we were just doing what that evil dictator forced us to do. But
hopefully we all live long enough to make it to the apology.
Right. Yep, exactly. And so we'll see what happens on that front. But I would say an apology will be coming from the Russian military, expected at some future point. It might be a generation from now.
Okay, fair enough. I am going to say, this is dumb, but I apologize to the hotel I'm staying in for flooding the bathroom yesterday.
What?
Because they, so I'm in like a accessible room, and the shower is basically like part of the floor, and there's no bathtub. It's just a shower, and it's the same level as the floor. But there's a tiny little like lip that's supposed to keep the water in, and it doesn't. So the entire bathroom basically flooded, and I didn't notice until I got out of the shower. So I had to, use all the towels there were to soak up the water and drag it down the drain, and that was unpleasant. But I feel kind of bad about it because the towels were soaking wet when the maids came, and I do feel a little bad about it, so I am sorry. It wasn't my fault, though. It was your damn fault for building this bathroom this way. You made me do it.
Well, okay, good. I thought you meant like you had to call, not housekeeping, but maintenance.
Plumbing
and like,
yeah,
like something really massive had happened.
Thank God. It was not that embarrassed.
Well, once again.
What?
Nothing. Did you?
All right. What?
I was going to say, didn't you have another flood incident? But that was at your house.
In my house.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm surrounded by flooding bathrooms.
Yeah. And then I had one here.
It's never my fault. Did you?
I did, where I had to flush that piece of lint down the sink in the laundry room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I haven't had any OCD with water in a while because of that. So
That's
hooray.
good.
Yeah.
Yay.
Or lint.
Yay. All right. I think that's it from us for this week. Next week, we'll have the Pope, as we mentioned. Pope's apologized for something. We'll see how he did.
Yes, we will. And I can't
He's
wait.
infallible, so it's probably a perfect apology.
Well,
All right, everyone.
on that note, yes. Have a
We'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Apologies Accepted, the podcast.
You can find links to the articles and the sources in the show notes.
To submit an apology or find out more, visit us at apologiesaccepted.net, where you can also find our merchandise.
We're on Twitter at Apologies Accepted.
And on Instagram at apologies.accepted.
You can support our important work at Patreon.com/Apologies Accepted.
And fuck Facebook.
Bye.
Bye.